What's up, everybody? Sports Counterpoints podcast. It's June 8th, 2022. I'm GB as usual. Brian and Coop got him on video. What's happening, fellas?
What's going on?
Right, we're back.
Man, another day, more sports to talk about. So today we're gonna talk about the NBA playoffs. Obviously, got these boys just took that L. We'll talk about the Lakers, of course. We always check in on the Lakers. Darvin Ham's officially the coach. I gotta want to talk about this new golf thing that's going on with the Saudi League and the PGA, and a gentleman's rivalry. It sounds like, and so we'll get into it. But real quick, I just kind of want to mention hockey too. The Colorado Avalanche have already advanced to the Stanley Cup. They beat the Oilers in four straight games. The Tampa Bay Lightning are tied with the New York Rangers at 2 games apiece. So
Mhm.
just a quick shout out for hockey for anybody who watches. And I know the fellas we were kind of talking about it before. And Coop, you had a question kind of related to what's been going on.
Yeah, man, I've just noticed. Oh, the reason why I got this hat on, everybody, is I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan. I'm hoping that one day the Flyers can make the Stanley Cup Finals while I'm still alive. So that's what I'm hoping. The Stanley Cup Finals are on right now. Philly, we are not that good, but hopefully we will get good. But yeah, so my question is to Brian, actually. And I've been watching a little bit of Stanley Cup playoffs. It's been good. I've noticed that there's been a lot of scoring in these games. Man, I think
Yeah.
one score was about a few days ago was 8-6, man, which is unheard of in the playoffs. So I want to know. I, maybe I'm not well versed on any of the rule changes, but I want to know. Can you tell me why scoring is up? Did they change stuff and something for goalies? They have to come out more, and that gives the offensive player a better chance to score. Or what? What's been going on?
So I'll start with Go Kings Go because I'm a Kings fan. But and look, I am by no means a hockey expert. I watch it a lot because I have a couple of or a few really rabid Kings fans friends, and they've blessed me with taking me to a few games, and they have some wonderful seats. So it sparks the interest. But in reading about what has been going on, and this has been going on all season, Jason. This year, the scoring was up to an average of 6 goals per game, which is high. I mean, if you think about the scores that historically you've seen, a couple things have happened that I've read about and seen and watching the games. One is that they've cracked down on enforcers. There used to be a couple of guys who would just go beat up anyone who tried to make a run for it or tried to get open ice or anything like that. And they've stopped those types of players kind of maintaining careers as enforcers. It doesn't mean that there's not big guys who can hit, but there used to be a couple of guys who were never going to shoot. They were not. They were there to beat up the other team. The skill is supposed to be way up. There's a lot of young talent. People who are not necessarily fans have been talking about how Connor McDavid is just amazing to watch. I mean, he is just in a league of his own. They're no longer in the playoffs, but it's just ridiculous how good he is. So there's just a lot of skill, a lot of speed, and they've opened up the game by getting rid of some of the enforcers. And it's not power play goals, according to what I have read and seen anecdotally. That's not like it's not like they're calling more penalties, which is freeing it up. It's just that the game itself has kind of evolved, and these ultra fast, ultra skilled players are becoming a larger percentage of the league, whereas before you had more of a split with these big enforcer type guys. But what you were just saying, the NHL playoffs have been outstanding. I actually make a point of watching games that are not Kings games, just because they can get pretty exciting. It's hard when you don't have any kind of rooting interest, but we have the same problem with watching Boston play,
Yeah.
and for me, Golden State. But it's still it's exciting if you get into the sport.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. They did take out the goon. They used to call him the goon in
Yeah,
hockey. They took him completely out, just like the NBA took out the what you would say the enforcer, the guys who just
enforcer.
give you a
Yeah,
hard foul just to give you a hard foul. So it's a good point there. And I also agree there is a lot more skill now. These guys are playing hockey now are talented. They're quick. I mean, Glenn, me and we go to a one game a year, man, and we just see
At
how
least.
the speed on that ice, man. That's not easy. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of skill. And so yeah, man, I just see a lot of goals. Like I said, man, hopefully one day the Kings can play the Flyers in the finals, man, and we can probably go to all of the games. But yeah.
That'd
Glenn,
be
any
crazy.
thoughts on hockey?
I was going to say one more thing.
Oh
To your
yeah, go ahead.
point you mentioned earlier, um, the strategies late in games have become more aggressive.
Hmm.
And so with it used to be you wouldn't pull the goalie unless you really had a chance with 30, 45, 1 minute, whatever. Now they're doing that out a little bit further.
Yeah.
That usually leads to a couple extra goals getting scored. So sometimes when you see these 8-6 games, it really was a 5-4 game
Yeah.
that they pulled the goalie, came close to one going back and forth and adding a couple extra other
Yeah.
scores.
Yeah, because that game that was 8-6 or 9-6, whatever it was, they scored 6 goals in the fourth. So yeah, you're right. And we saw that when we and Glenn and we went to the game, they were thinking went to overtime. And these overtime games are not lasting the entire overtime no more. They're getting those things over with quickly now.
Yep.
So by pulling the
Well, that's
goalie and just being aggressive, like you said.
Yeah, well, the overtime they changed the rules so it's less guys on ice. Um, and I'm going to mess this up. I believe it's
On
usually
three.
it's 5-on-5, but now it goes down to 4-on-4, and then
Okay.
even down to I think 3-on-3 at some
Yeah, it was
point.
3-on-3 when we was there. Yep. So yeah.
And so
That's right.
it's a lot easier to score when,
Yeah.
especially because each team has to pick how they formulate that. Right. So, you can't really put two defensive guys with one offensive guy and expect that you're
Yeah.
going to be able to get ahead. Sometimes what you're trying to do is you're trying to put all your offensive guys. It's a strategy that I have admittedly not mastered or completely understand yet.
Right.
But it does make for a much more exciting and high score game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for anybody who doesn't watch hockey and hasn't, I would say go to a game if you
Go to a
can.
game first. Yeah.
It really changes the way you see the game. I took my parents, for instance, and they loved it, and they had never watched the game before, were never into it. But once you're there and kind of see how the crowds are usually really, hockey has like typically, in my
Great fans.
experience, really good fans that are knowledgeable about the game, know when to cheer, know when to be quiet, don't
Yep.
stand up in their way. Like you're supposed to do things the right way. So hockey is actually pretty fun. I didn't get it
And they're
until
real
like way
fans. I
late in
mean,
life.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
they're
real
real fans.
fans.
They're there because their team. Like you can go to a Kings game when they're not doing so well, and those fans have tons and tons of energy. And you go to a playoff hockey game anywhere for any reason,
Yeah.
it is electric. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. It is
Yeah.
electric.
And
Yeah.
then to Glenn's point, we took our cousin Ryan, first game he came to, and he was like, "Oh yeah, when you guys go again, let me know."
Hit
I
me every
mean,
time. Yep.
yeah, people, hockey is an underrated sport, man. If you got a chance, if you're in the Bay Area, check out a Sharks game. It don't matter who they're playing against. Just go.
Yep.
Even the Shark. I'm not a Sharks fan, but the Sharks crowd is pretty live, man.
Yeah, it's
Seriously,
fun.
they're passionate fans. There won't be any fights and nothing like that, and they do serve beer, I think, throughout the whole game. But for all those
No,
who
I think they're
drink,
the first two periods.
first two, okay, I
But
think first two, yeah.
you can
But
walk
you
to the bars from the stadium. So
right,
yeah,
right. So yeah, it's
yeah,
it's nice.
it's
Yep.
it's fun, definitely. So yeah, a little quick hockey talk. Trying, sports counterpoints is not just basketball and football, which we typically do. We actually watch a little bit of everything. So, but transitioning back to more of our usual, let's talk about these playoffs, man. What are you guys thinking? I'm gonna just go out there and say that this has been one of the wackest finals I've ever seen. But y'all, let's get y'all thoughts, man.
Well, I'm gonna say one thing, and I'm gonna let Brian because I'm gonna have more to say, man. So after watching this game, I figured out Draymond Green. I know what he is. He has to basically act like an asshole to be effective against upper echelon teams in the playoffs. I mean, if you think about it, against Cleveland a few years ago, he kicked LeBron in the nuts. And in another game, he got 3 technical fouls in one game. I think it was game 4. One got rescinded and one got put at Steve Kerr. And they did Draymond out of the game. He just tackled Jalen Brown the last game and did a whole bunch of extra stuff, and the referees refused to kick him out of the game. Today, he picked up he fouled out. He picked up a dumb 6 foul by damn near tackling Marcus Smart from behind. And after all his antics this game and hollering and complaining, you would think he was killing it. His stat line, he had a 1, 2, 3, 4 stat line. 1 ejection, 2 points, 3 assists, and 4
Elite.
rebounds. That's what he had. He had a couple of turnovers too, and of course he fouled out. And then after fouling out, so it's been 3 games in this series. After fouling out in this game, he has officially 15 fouls and 15 points in the entire series on 26% shooting, 0 for 7 for 3, and 50% on free throws. So he's pretty much mastered the art of running around doing nothing. That's what he does. I'm not saying he just does nothing, but his stat line doesn't compare to his mouth. So he's not really impacting the game as people think he is. And so I get tired of these people talking about all these Draymond's a Hall of Famer. And I'm like, Hall of Famer for what? He doesn't impact the offensive end. He's not a great rebounder. He's on the court and helps the Warriors and fits the Warriors. I get that part. But a Hall of Famer that's just ridiculous. I just had to throw that out because I had a epiphany or a revelation this game. Brian, go ahead. What you got to say about this series?
Well, so I'll start with talking about what you were just talking about. Look, Draymond is deep in his career. This is not necessarily, we're not seeing prime Draymond, although he's paid like it. This is not prime Draymond, and it's really showing in this series. I think Kerr didn't do himself and his team a favor by not pulling Draymond from this game when he went 0 for 3 and had missed a layup, and the only basket that he made was off of a dunk by himself on a great Klay Thompson pass for the assist. But you're right. I mean, he is at this point. He's a guy that you put in because he can do a couple of things, but because he can start some stuff and get into people's heads. It is really hard to get into a team like Boston's head in Boston. You can get into a Boston's head in Golden State or in California, and in the Bay because you have the crowd. They're not booing and supporting the team. But it's difficult to expect that what Draymond does plays well on the road. And I'd be curious to see what his it's hard to look at it because it's not really in the splits, but it'd be interesting to look at his splits at home and away, because you're right when you say that so much of his game is him intimidating. Now, he is also a very good facilitator, and I know that, but he makes a lot of, we were just talking about hockey, he makes a lot of hockey passes. He knows how to get the ball in the right place so that the next person can make the pass to get the layup. So, he gets the ball, the Klay Thompson on the side, knowing that that's when Wiggins can cut and he can do that. He understands the game of basketball really well. But that said, it's passed him up. He is no longer someone who should be on a max deal. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward because he's still got some money coming. And they've got Jordan Poole, whom they need to figure out how they're going to keep him because he's destined to be a very good player. I don't know if we gotten it great yet, but he's destined to be a very good player. On the series itself, these series, every game has been consistent in one way. Golden State's going to win the third quarter, and then everything else has been about whether or not Golden State's going to play well in the other quarters. Boston's played pretty consistently. They played lights out the first series, but the rest of the games they played pretty consistently. Sometimes they hit the shot, sometimes they don't. But whether they hit the shots is about whether or not Golden State plays full defense. Too many times in this game today, you would see Golden State lazy to get to the pass outs. And what ended up happening was you'd have two guys up at the top. The defense would get sucked in by a player. It would get passed out. And instead of jumping out there and rushing or staying home in the first place, they gave either open threes or huge drives where someone was able to get to the rack and dunk on three people because there was nothing going on in the key. Does it make for exciting basketball? I've been watching all the games, but I would tell someone who didn't have the time or maybe a little bit of interest that all you really need to do is watch the third quarter and the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and you will 100% know what's going to happen in this game, and you've seen the most exciting parts of it. Jason, what do you think?
I think that number one, I realized after 3 games, for the Celtics to win, the team has to pitch in. They don't really have a true leader on the team, and Tatum pretty much admitted a few games ago he's not. He questions himself whether he's a leader. And if you're a leader, you don't really question yourself like that. And I seen Tatum's confidence go down a little bit too quick, sort of like Devin Booker. His confidence kind of went down in those first couple of games. And like we're used to watching guys like Kobe, man. And those guys, they can go 3 for 18 in game one and think they're going to hit the next 6 shots, whereas Tatum, pretty much just became a facilitator after that, wasn't really looking for a shot. But but Golden State on the flip side, though, if Curry can go for 40 and can carry the team go for 40 and they can win a game, I don't think Boston has that type of player on the team. So it's coming down to everybody on Boston has to chip in for them to win. Like, for instance, when Marcus Smart, though he tries to sabotage games, but when Marcus Smart scores 20, they win. And he had 24 tonight, and they won. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can contain Curry, because Curry is pretty much killing them. He was averaging 35 points. I said in the last podcast before the series started, if you exclude the last game he got hurt, but he was averaging 35 points the last 6 games against Boston. He's still killing them. They haven't figured out how to guard him, and they're letting Curry hit way too many open looks. So, but as far as Boston, like I said, everybody has to pitch in. Thankfully, that game 4 is in Boston, so maybe they're the role players to play well. But I think that also Tatum has kind of shrunk in this series. His first 2 games, he wasn't good. Today, yeah, he had 26, but he shot 9 for 23, and he was really passing a lot. To me, Jaylen Brown has been the star for the Celtics in this series. He's been balling. His confidence is high, and he's playing like a star. Like he's a star. He's playing very confidently. He's shooting. He's going to the basket. He don't give a damn who's on him. He's taking him to the rack. He's blocking shots. He's getting back on defense. I mean, I think he blocked Curry, blocked Klay Thompson. He was called for a foul, I think, on Klay. But still, I mean, he's doing a lot of things. And also, I want to give a shout out to that guy. I think his name is Derek White. He's been hitting some big shots for Boston as well. So yeah, and his defense. So it has to be this team effort. But to me, it looks like Tatum is the better offensive player, we all know, but Brown is playing to that finals level, whereas
Would you
Tatum
say he's
isn't.
the X factor, Jason?
Who?
Would you say that Jaylen Brown's been the X factor?
I believe you said Jaylen Brown is the X factor. You did say that.
I was setting you up so that I could say,
you did.
That I call. And just before you finish real quick on Jaylen Brown, he was lights out in scoring in the first game. Only scored 24 points, but was very efficient.
Yep.
Mark Smart didn't get to 20. They won. He played pretty poorly, Jaylen Brown, or at least shot pretty poorly. The next game was 5, I think, for like 16.
Yep.
In the second game, or maybe it was 16 or 14 in the second game. They lost. He played well tonight, shot efficiently. They won. I think Jaylen Brown is the X factor. Tatum's been consistent. He gets his points.
Yeah.
But like we've always said, if you show me the guy after the guy, I'll be able to tell you what your chances of winning.
Yeah. Tatum, game 1, 3 for 17. Game 2, 8 for 19. Today, 9 for 23. If you're supposed to be this star player, you can't be shooting like that. He's gotten a lot of help, and like I said, I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's a good offensive player, but he's not that number one. I've always said he's not the number one, not the upper echelon guy. But another thing, before I let you go, I don't want to go too long. The coach for Boston, if Brad Stevens was coaching this team, they wouldn't be at this point. Brad Stevens even admitted that the team tuned him out. I never bought it. I have a good friend, D. Got to give you a shout out. My boy D. Dago, man, he's a big Celtic fan, man, and he used to tell us and everybody in our group text about Brad Stevens. I'm just sitting there like, whatever. He's okay, coach. He's not all that. And he even admitted the team tuned him out, especially Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown didn't even listened to this dude. Udoka is the right coach for this team, because I don't think they would have got past Miami again if Brad Stevens was the coach, because Boston, even though they lose these big leads during the playoffs, it takes a lot of poise to actually, weather that storm and then come back and win games like they've been doing. And I think they're 7-0 now after a loss in the playoffs, which is, that's a credit to coaching. So I got to give a shout out to him. But B, what you think about this series?
Yeah, I mean, you already said all of it. I will opine on the Brad Stevens comments. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I mean, one of the things, I hate to say this, I really like Udoka as a coach. Yep. Listening to him break down the game and what happened after the game when he was talking to the reporters, it was spot on. It was insightful. It showed, without having looked at the film, that he knew how to make the game time adjustments. And I think that is one of the biggest factors for good versus great coaches is, can you make in-game adjustments without being able to watch 2 days worth of film before and come back in there with a game plan? Because as the old saying goes, everyone's got a game plan until they get punched. You got to be able to make adjustments in the game. Udoka seems to have a strong understanding of that, make great changes. And I really, really hope that Darvin Ham has that skill set, similar to guys like Udoka, and Kerr has also been known to do that, as evident by the fact that their best quarter is always their third quarter, which means that the minute he's able to get in front of his team and talk about what changes need to be made, he's able to get them on track and they come out there energetic and playing well. They had a break. They do it hockey style and have a break between every quarter. It'd be hard to beat the Warriors.
Yeah, I also noticed another thing with Looney, man. Looney, I've never been a fan of him. Shouts out to you, Jelani, but the dude's not that good. I've noticed that he's only good when Robert Williams is off the court. When Robert Williams is on the court, he's pretty much neutralized like Bam Adebayo. Bam was good when Robert Williams was off the court. Robert Williams is the.
I was going to say Robert Williams has definitely proven that he is a legitimate defensive superstar.
Definitely.
In these playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. GB, any thoughts?
Man, so you guys are breaking it down fantastically as always, the numbers, kind of the analytics of the game. As a casual fan in this case, because I'm a fan of basketball, but I'm a Laker fan. So as a casual fan watching this series is trash. It's just, and I mean, it's excessive. I know I'm being, I'm it's speaking anecdotally, but there's, I'm used to, when I watch the finals, including last year's, typically the games are close. It's more of a competitive nature. I think of the past series that the Warriors were in when they were playing the Cavs or whoever, how close the games were, how it was coming down to the last shot, the last possession, the last 2 minutes were huge. In these, every game of this finals, it's been a blowout. So you could turn the game off like you said, Brian, you can watch the third quarter, part of the fourth, you could turn the game off. Pretty much. The Warriors got closer than they had been during the game, but it's not fun. Like my attention for this finals has really dropped, and I don't think it's speaking to where the NBA is going or anything. I just think it's how this finals is going, because you're also playing with two teams that are very well. The Warriors for sure, although they could score, they rely too much on the three.
Right.
You hit them a lot, so it makes sense, right? I get it. But if you're missing them, it's just long rebounds, and you can easily get down quickly. Now, of course, a 12-point lead is 4 shots for them, so I get it. But if you miss long rebounds, other teams going the other way, and the Celtics have been good about, they are shooting a lot of threes in my opinion, but they're taking it to the rack. So it's just been, as a casual fan, it's just not been that much fun. I've kind of, I took kind of checked where the scores are, but I'm not really paying attention to it. Keep it real.
Yeah, and Brian, you had your X factor, Jaylen Brown, which was spot on. My X factors was the Boston big men. I thought they can punish Golden State down low, and today, man, they were just pounding them boards, man. They've been scoring, both of them scoring double figures.
Yeah, Horford's been great.
Yeah, Robert Williams, he had 8 and 10. Horford's been cool. So yeah, Tatum had 6 rebounds. Yeah, so yeah, it's be interesting, man. It just depends on which style prevails in the game, and that's who's going to win the game. So
this could easily go 7, it looks like, and then be a blowout in the 7th game.
So obviously I picked the Warriors in 5. I will say that is obviously not going to happen now. But I do see the Warriors being able to win this if they can win this next game. They lose this next game, it's a wrap.
Yeah. If Tatum stops playing like a role player, that I think it'll be another blowout. I mean,
and and if that's the case, it'll probably be exactly what you said, Boston 6. I'll go back to Golden State. Golden State will get a win at home.
Yeah.
They'll come back to Boston, and Boston will finish them.
Yeah, Golden State is winning game 5 regardless. They're winning game 5. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're winning that.
That's why this next game is basically going to decide who's going to win it.
Right.
Okay, so I'll watch this game then. All right. All right, y'all got me. Thank you. All right, for sure. So unless you guys have any last thoughts or anything else you want to throw out for the Warriors and the Celtics?
Nah. No. Okay.
I'm still hoping that the Warriors can win it, just because my Laker love is always going to run way deeper than anything else. So, if you're from Boston or wherever, hey, God bless you and the family, but I hope your team crumbles and just falls apart. And I'm happy they're paid. I hope they're all healthy. I don't want anybody injured or hurt. bless you all, but man, I hope your team crumbles and y'all lose the rest of these games.
Man.
So that's just straight hate, and I'm happy to say it, straight hate. So yeah, so staying on basketball, Darvin Ham, man, because you kind of mentioned him and saying you hope he has kind of some of the adjustments. Officially the Laker coach. Thoughts. I am gonna say this first because I sent you guys this instantly when I heard it because I was dying. He said that Russell Westbrook is one of the best players that this league has ever seen and still has a lot in the tank. He said a lot of, he said, he sounds like a pretty solid dude that's been through some real life things and can relate to people. And I think he's going to be a good coach. But I had to bring the Westbrook thing up because I know how you guys feel about Russ. So just go ahead, man. What do y'all
Ouch.
think about Darvin?
Ouch. I'll start. Yeah. So look, I think Darvin Ham is already playing the mind games you need to play as a coach. If you want to be able to trade Russell Westbrook, you need to convince people that Westbrook is better than what he is. And it doesn't, it seems like they might even end up starting the year. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you see a whole bunch of offensive sets early in the season where they can afford to give up a few games that are built to show Westbrook can still do something. Even if they're manufacturing points for him and everybody just tackles everybody else and gives him a layup like he's the little kid on the team. But the point is that I don't believe for a moment that Darvin Ham thinks that Westbrook is the key to success on that team. I'm pretty sure, also listening to some of the other things he said, that he's figured out that he's got to make sure that AD one stays healthy and two plays AD type basketball when he can play good basketball. And I think that he's what he said makes me think that he knows that's the key. Some other things that he said that were really interesting, or is that he started talking about Stanley Johnson, Austin Reeves, Malik Monk. He started talking about those guys, and he went really gave them some airtime. And those were the guys who were also there with Westbrook for his announcement. It wasn't LeBron and all those guys. It was Austin Reeves, Stanley Johnson, and one of the other guys who were kind of the middle of the pack on that team. So it is interesting because he's clearly made a commitment to developing those guys. And he said, we can't wait to be there and work with them and all this other stuff. Those guys don't have contracts yet. So it seems like the team kind of tipped their hand a little bit on what kind of guys they're going to try and get back and what type of deals they're going to be trying to sign them to. All in all, I thought his introduction did nothing but reinforce. I think it was the right hire. I think that if we'll find out soon enough if he's going to be a great coach, but it was certainly the right risk to take. And I think that the Westbrook comments were merely him doing what he needs to do to be a good coach on a team that's going to need to get rid of that guy at some point in time and talking about. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I agree with you. My football team already tries this. I hate when I'm trying to be sold something, man. The 49ers are trying to sell people on Garoppolo. He's a very good quarterback. We're not going to give up for nothing. Now Darvin Ham's trying to sell everybody on Westbrook. Oh, man, he's still got a lot left in the tank. I don't know why people are writing this guy off because we've watched him play over the last, 5-6 years. That's why he hasn't worked with anybody. That's why we're writing him off. But like you said, he has to say that. You got to try to build up his market. And if Darvin Ham is as smart as everybody says he is, he knows this guy, he has his work cut out if this guy's on the team. So, I'm hoping he's off the team before the season starts. I don't think he will be. I don't know who's going to absorb that contract or just have him on the team, period. But I mean, he has to say that. You just got the job. You got to start the BS in the early. So I didn't think much of it, Glenn. I just thought it was just typical BS that you just have to say because you can't say he's not that good or I see why everybody doesn't like him on the team. You just got the job, and he's even though he's not going to get fired anytime soon, but still.
And he's most certainly going to be there for the start of the season.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you don't want to start with that dark cloud.
Yeah. Talking about Westbrook didn't respect Vogel. I remember a lot of people talk about that. He didn't respect Vogel. And my thing is, what has Russell Westbrook done? I mean, Vogel's won a championship. This guy Westbrook can barely get out of the first round. So I mean, I don't know why he gets all this, this love or I guess the benefit of the doubt or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I mean, we'll see what happens with Ham, man. Like I said, I'm not going to judge him until Westbrook is off the team and we get some new contracts. But Brian, I do want to talk to you about this. The hiring of Rasheed Wallace as an assistant. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I've said in previous podcasts over the years that Rashid had Hall of Fame talent and he pretty much squandered it. Didn't want to work. He was apathetic. He was lazy. He's pretty much AD. AD doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to put in the time. And it's like, so you have pre-AD along with present AD. And it's just like, Rasheed Wallace is a coach. It's like, ugh. What do you think about that?
So I have a different point of view. I agree with you completely about Rasheed Wallace. Probably one of the most talented players, athletically gifted, could play inside, outside. I mean, before you had big guys shooting threes, he was shooting threes and making them at a decent clip. He was really, really great in Portland. Now, do I know why Darvin Ham brought him? Yeah, they played in the 2004 team that you say that had a superstar.
No, I did not say I have a superstar. No, they were just in their prime.
No prime there at all. But anyways, the point being, but I do understand why he brought him there. Here's the thing. Rasheed Wallace, I think, will be a good coach. And I think that they saw some of that when he was coaching at Memphis, right? He was an assistant coach over there. He has the skills. He knows how to show them. He doesn't have to give his energy. That's on Ham to give him the energy. It's, what he needs to do is teach him that move, teach him how to get a little bit of space out by the 3-point line. And I think that Rasheed Wallace has the skills to do that. So I understand the hire. I understand the concern, but I understand the hire. And I think that what Ham is basically saying is, you give him the skill set, I'll motivate him. I'll put him in the right position to take that skill set and move and do something with it.
Yeah, see, I didn't look at it that's point. I didn't look at it that way, but Rasheed definitely can. I believe Rasheed knows the game. You can tell by the way he plays, especially offensively and defensively. I mean, even Tim Duncan said the best defensive player ever went against was Rasheed Wallace. I mean, Rasheed Wallace knows the game. Whether he's motivated or not is one thing, but he knows how to play basketball. I mean, when Dean Smith pretty much told him he had to go to the NBA because he didn't want to deal with him no more. But Rasheed Wallace, I think, is a different guy now. He's older now. He's probably in his 40s or something like that. And I didn't know until you just said something that he was coaching in Memphis. I didn't know that. I know he coached in Memphis. So yeah. GB, what you think about Sheed coming on?
I mean, you're talking championship experience. You're talking grit, toughness. Like you said, someone who knows the game. He's not, like everything Brian said, I think makes sense. Like Darvin Ham, do the X's and O's. I'm gonna, show you guys a game plan, motivate, get you in the right spots, make the adjustments. And Rasheed could be there on the sideline and keep cats in line. And if you got anybody that could get a technical, Rasheed could tell you everything not to do. You know what I'm saying? So cool out. He could be pulling them in, and I think I'm interested to see. Right? They kept Phil Handy too, who I like. I follow him on Instagram, and he's nice. He's a really great teacher of the game. So I was happy to see that. And I mean, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm giving Darvin I hope he does well, man. He's got nothing but my support. Him, Rasheed, everybody in the building. So let's get it, man. Let's get back to prominence, because watching the playoffs without the Lakers in it, it's not the truth.
Yeah, man. And she didn't get the kind of leeway playing like Draymond got, but
oh hell no,
way,
but
no
he
way.
didn't get that kind of leeway.
You
but
could kill players back then and not get technicals, and he still got technicals.
Right. So when I text you guys in the text chain earlier that I said Andrew Wiggins looked like he doesn't brush his teeth on game day, that's what Rasheed Wallace did. Rasheed Wallace didn't brush his teeth on game day. He just came out and just played. So that he was. I was saying that, but because I look at Wiggins' hair, man, I just look like, oh man, he just got out of bed, man. Just like, let me just go to the court and just go.
I remember I think it was MTV Cribs, where they did a whole walkthrough of Rasheed Wallace's house, and he was one of the first players that had like the massive movie theater and just tons of junk food everywhere. And
oh damn,
it was one of those things where you could tell the diet wasn't his most important thing. Like he was having a good time and enjoying himself. And but anyways, he's been an assistant coach at Memphis. And people say a lot of things about just understanding the game. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with it. All right, words. You got that. So actually, I want to jump now to this golf thing. I don't know if you've heard about this at all, Coop, but basically there's so you got the PGA Tour, right? Which is kind of since I want to say like the 40s, I think, has been like your golf, 68, excuse me. It's been your golf tour, right? It's where your professional golfers play. It's where everyone knows Tiger Woods from, and anybody you've seen play golf, women, men, etc. Champions Tour, the OGs, all of it is PGA Tour, right? And they've kind of had the golf world on lock pretty much. That's your professional golf. And now you have this tour from backed by Saudi Arabia, called Live Golf. Shout out to my niece Olivia, not that Live. This is Live Golf, where what they're doing is they're setting up like teams. So you got 12 teams, you got 48 players, and then they're only playing 3 rounds instead of 4. And there's 8 events per year, so they just kind of got it set up. No cuts. In the PGA Tour, you basically have to play your way in. If you don't make the cut, you don't play. And Live Golf, everyone plays because they want you to see your favorite golfer. And how they're getting golfers is by paying these boys baseball money. Real talk. Like they said they offered Tiger Woods like 9 figures, high 9 figures. I think Phil Mickelson got like 250 million. Dustin Johnson, a couple of these guys, they gave him like 100 million,
Like
150 million.
125 million for DJ. Yeah.
Like as much as Tiger's earned in his career on the tour, and he's been the best, these guys are getting just to sign up, right? And then the way they're doing it is they're doing it differently. Where in the PJ Tour, everybody starts on hole 1 and goes. Live is doing a shotgun start, which means everybody starts on a different hole. You all play at the same time and kind of, so everybody will get through it at the same time, right? And kind of finish roughly at the same time is kind of the idea.
Yeah. Well, instead
So
of being an all-day thing, it's a 3-hour, 4-hour event.
exactly. So it's really interesting. The money that they're doing, it's like, it's a team thing. So if you win the event, 25 million, that's split between 4 million. So basically a million per player for the first place. And then um, if you win become the champion at the end, you get 30 million, or there's, 30 million. They're going to split up between the top 3 guys. And then the top team who scores the most points gets 50 million to split up, or 16 million, million per. So it's breaking out. So they're just throwing money crazy. So I just want to get kind of your thoughts. Me and Brian play golf. Coop's getting into it. Just kind of what you guys are thinking. How do you think this impacts the game? I like it because I think competition is always good for leagues. We'll see if it sticks around, but usually it creates some innovation and makes other leagues kind of step up their game at least a little bit. So just want to get your thoughts and see what you guys are thinking. B, you're another golfer, so kind of what do you think about it?
So I didn't want to be interested in it, and and up until recently, I was probably gonna, watch and read the articles. But what they were able to do, and think of this for all of the football fans in the room, think of this like the XFL being able to go and get Peyton Manning for his last couple of years, one of which he won a Super Bowl. But Peyton Manning for the last couple of years, like a Phil Mickelson, getting some young superstars on from his teams, going and getting those types of guys. Let's say I'll pick on Deshaun Watson, getting guys who have a lot of talent and a lot of upside that people are going to be interested to see for reasons, a lot of different reasons. I hate Sergio Garcia. I think he's a horrible human being and a whole bunch of other things, but he brings in viewers and he's out. He did it. So real recently, and it started with Kevin Na. They started resigning from the PGA Tour, and that's when I started really, really going, oh, we're going to have to pay attention here, because giving up your tour card is a really big deal. And what transpired is they said, hey, we want to go play in a competing event. You have to get the PGA's permission. PGA said no, and they said, okay, well, I'm not giving up 125 million, 50 million, whatever their sign-on bonuses are, to do that. And they started dropping it. And Kevin Na was the first one to come out and do it. Mucho grande cojones for doing that one. And then slowly, right after that, it was just boom, boom, boom. The dominoes started to fall. Phil Mickelson did it. DJ did it. Sergio did it. Most recently, and they're not even on teams yet, Bryson DeChambeau, who is considered, a big and
Yep, big hitter.
And Patrick Reed. Both of those guys are generally universally hated. They don't have a team. They're not on a team, but they are able to play in the event. So that's happening. So that'll be pretty interesting to see what happens next when they get to Portland. I don't think they're going to play in London. I think they're going to play when they get to Portland. What do I think about the league overall? I think it's not deep enough to understand yet. So they have all these captains, and one Dustin, Johnson's obviously captain. Phil Mickelson's a captain. Martin Kamer, who's been had some Kevin Na, Ian Poulter, Louis Oosthuizen, Taylor Gooch, Graham McDowell, Sergio Garcia. But then you also have guys like Siwon Kim, don't know who he is, could be great. Wade Ormsby, Blake Windred. These are people that you've never heard of. And so they're going to rely heavily on star power to try and get people to watch a 4-hour event. That's, you need star power. What the PGA always has the ability to do is, even when Tiger Woods is dead last, Tiger Woods is on TV.
Yeah.
And when as some of these other guys go up there, but there have been times where people the person who's winning the golf tournament doesn't have as much airtime. They're going to have to use that model in this, because outside of the Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelsons, they don't have a lot of guys with star powers. Ian Poulter and Kevin Na and Martin Kamer and Uwe Oosthuizen, even Sergio Garcia, Graham McDowell. So they're not guys that anyone is clamoring to see on TV. They're great golf talents. And I think the success or failure is going to be getting people to watch it. So we'll see. Like I said, I liken it a little bit to the XFL, except for they've already did better than the XFL could do because they got major talent on day one.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead, GB.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say no. I like it because you get a chance to see your favorite golfer, play. I mean, if you're into golf and you have a favorite golfer,
Your favorite golfer isn't in this league.
Oh, well, then that's just too damn bad. But
no, but I think that's good, because then if he's in the PGA Tour and he's at the bottom and not shown, now he gets to rise too. So I think it's good.
it could help. But I don't blame the golfers for taking that money. You got it. It's like you have to take that money. Somebody's offering you all that. That's like career earnings type of money, man. You'll never make any other time. So
it's multiples of most of these players.
You're right.
So, yeah, that's what Tiger made this kind of money, and he was the best.
Tiger made 131 million from playing golf. Now he's a billionaire from everything else. 131 million from playing and winning golf tournaments.
Right.
Dustin Johnson got a $125 million sign on for going into this. He's now made all the money that Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they didn't give him one big check right up front, and it's paid out over a period of time.
Yeah.
But he got 125 million for signing up, not for winning.
Yeah.
Signing up. Of course you have to take.
You got to take. Yeah. You got a lot of people are. I don't like when other people try to tell people with money how to spend their money. I don't like that. A lot of people are upset about that. Why are they taking the money? You shouldn't have a say on what other people are spending their money on. Let them spend on whatever they want to spend it on. If somebody's offering their money, you got to take it. Anybody would take that money. So I'm not mad at it. I like it. If your favorite golfer's playing, you get a chance to see your favorite golfer play in a different style of tournament. I'm interested to see it. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Glenn, what you think?
Yeah, they're gonna mix it up. I think it's good because they're who knows what kind of stuff they do. They may.
Right.
I like this kind of stuff because when you get a new league, they may add something different for the ball tracker. They may use different colored golf balls, or just do something to spice up the game a little bit.
Yep.
And often the other league, like your dominant league, the PGA Tour or something, will see something they do, and now they're gonna implement more, and it's gonna make them step their game up a little bit. Golf is already, let's be real, if you don't play golf, you don't watch golf. So I think a lot of people are, but if they can make it more exciting, I'm interested to see. Also, I will say, if y'all haven't seen so you're in London, you're overseas, Saudi Arabia, they don't have like the same rules as America. So I was seeing clips and some of the interviews, and Phil Mixon had, I guess, previously come out and said,
So I was going to talk about that next. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was down talking to Saudis, and the interviewer comes out and says, so yeah, after everything you said, you sure did take the money. Like, what's up? Just straight up asked him, like, after everything you said, you became a hypocrite and took the money. So how do you feel about Saudi Arabia now? And Phil had an interesting answer. But the other question he asked someone was like, so if Vladimir Putin had a league, would you play in this? And they were like, that's conjecture. I don't know. He's like, if you're taking money, could you take money from him too? So it's just interesting and kind of funny to see that. But I'm definitely going to check it out. I do watch golf because I play golf, or at least I did up until 2 weeks ago, and then I'll start back Saturday. But yeah, so I'm interested. What are you gonna say, B, about the interview?
Well, I was gonna say that we really didn't talk about the moral issues hanging over the league, which is it's Saudi money. It's people who are connected to the kingdom, and these are folks who were not directly, but involved in the killing of Khashoggi, who was a media person. So obviously the media has a lot of strong feelings about this. And so, as everyone may know, but the scandal was Phil came out after being a supporter of LIV Golf, came out and said, or got caught on tape, I should say, saying, well, we know that they killed Khashoggi. Those guys are scary MFers. And that got out. And then the world he hasn't been playing golf in the last 3 months. He's been hiding. So to see him come up there, I thought it deserved that question. And I do think that people need to wonder whether or not they're supporting something that they have real moral issues on it. I know that I did, and that I really, again, was kind of pushing it off and hoping it didn't work out until I saw what was going on. And I'll probably watch a little bit just to see and follow some of it. But it's starting off on the wrong foot, not to mention they jumped right into the deep end on all of this. They got Saudi Arabia, who has a dubious history with free speech rights and the killing of people who spoke up. They've got players who have some pretty weird past, like a Sergio Garcia. And then their final tournament is at one of the few clubs that Trump still owns and has his name on. And so they got Trump in the mix. Of course they did with Saudi Arabia. So there's going to be some folks who will be a little leery of all of that. Go ahead, Jason. You have something you want to say.
No, I was just saying, but can't you say that about, like, the NBA has a relationship with China and has one for years? China's not the best country in the world as far as human rights violations.
China's blacklisting them every time they hear. So the relationship with China and the NBA has always been, don't ask, don't tell, right?
Yeah.
But the minute the NBA steps out of line, China blacklists them. Right?
Yeah.
There's like 3 or 4 teams, what they did with Houston, and it cost the players money and all those kind of things. So yeah, I don't think it's perfect, but China is not 100% of the financial backing. Saudi Arabia is.
Yeah, I get that, but Brian, you know this, and Glenn, you know this too. All of these decisions are made for money. So if a player does it for money, then hell, do a corporation. You got companies that's making billions and trillions of dollars, whatever. They don't even pay taxes. I mean, so it's like, everybody wants to blame the player, blame some of these organizations or companies or whatever, governments.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's blaming the players. I think everyone, including us just now, were saying, I completely understand why Dustin Johnson wants to take all the money that Tiger Woods has earned. But he also needs to take the fact that people are going to talk a little shit about him. And he earned that with he's getting paid $125 million to be able to deal with that.
Yep.
So I don't feel sorry for him in the slightest. I don't feel sorry for Phil getting hammered on questions. He got they got hundreds of millions of dollars over a period of time to deal with that. And they should have to deal with it.
Yep.
Just like if somebody asked, I'll use Kobe Bryant, for example, when he did an airline commercial for Turkish Airlines, and he got pummeled in Los Angeles because we have a very large Armenian community, and they felt, rightfully so, some kind of way. Kobe had to deal with that. You can't say what he should do with his money or how he should get his money, but he had to deal with that backlash based on a fairly significant community in Los Angeles coming at him. Those players are going to have to deal with some of the same things for playing on Trump golf courses, which the PGA has slowly phased out. They stopped putting majors and all that at the Doral as out, by example, which is one of the reasons why LAV Golf is bringing it back in play. And they're getting all of their money from one source that's got a very, very mixed history.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything wrong with it, but they're getting, and quite honestly, they're getting paid enough that they're going to have to deal with it. And if they can't deal with it, return the check.
Yeah, and Brian and Glenn, man, it's like, it just seems like to me, man, it's like in the NBA, they blame the player for forming their own team instead of the organization doing it, or they blame the player in college, for whatever, transferring or whatever, college football, whatever, but they don't never blame the college when they do. They never blame the entity, the organization, the companies never blame. It seems like everybody's always getting on the player. I don't like that. But Glenn, you were gonna say something.
I was gonna say,
who's got the money?
Yeah,
who's got the money? The players aren't going to be able to basketball players do not spend, or football players or college players do not spend money on their own media and publicity.
Mm-hmm.
Teams do, schools do, right? So people root for Alabama. They don't root for the players. They root for the players because they're on Alabama. Player leaves Alabama, they're all done with them.
Yeah.
The same kind of thing. And that's because these players are not putting out that media machine like Alabama is, or like Nike is.
It's always a narrative.
Lakers. Yeah, it's absolutely. And the narrative is decided by the person who's writing the check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, people talk about me for free. So if y'all want to talk about me for 125 million, I will write the headlines for you.
Yeah,
I will give you all the dirt.
Right, this punk mother.
Yeah, exactly, bro. You wouldn't believe what this boy just did. But additionally, I mean, I'm gonna just keep it real. If you play in the PGA Tour, their PGA Tour didn't allow black people for how much of their history, and so much did all these leagues. If you play in America, you're talking about a place that got a sordid history too. So get your money.
Yeah, and look, most of the tournaments are played in the U.S. I think it's half.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like they're playing everything overseas. It's Portland,
cool.
it's Chicago, it's Miami. It ends in the championship is held in Miami. It's just Saudi backed. I think there's only one golf course played in the Middle East.
Because a lot of those Saudi tournaments are played in the United States. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, London, Portland, New Jersey, Boston, Chicago, Bangkok, Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
hey man, I'm one, right? That's played in the Middle East.
Yep.
Looks like some nice courses.
Yeah, and look, our crown jewel in the PGA, our crown jewel tournament is at a place that didn't let women or black people play until very, very recently.
Think about it.
Still has a lot of things going on over there that are
the Masters.
Masters.
Augusta. Yeah.
It's called the Masters too. So
right. It's called the Masters.
I get it, but I mean,
and it's in Georgia.
Yeah, right. Augusta. That's right. Yeah.
So word. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for indulging me on that. We talked a little hockey. We talked a little basketball. We talked some golf this week, so that's good. I'm thinking I'm gonna just wrap it up. We'll get to football. We're getting close to the season. I was gonna ask you guys are excited about anything yet, but we'll get it to it next because we're gonna have a lot of dead space in between my sports. I watch basketball and football, so we'll have some space to talk about that next time. Appreciate you guys as always for being on the show. Everybody who listens, thanks for listening. Subscribe, give us a like, whatever, because it all helps. We appreciate all your feedback. This is our last portion of the show. This is the minute to win it. I don't really have anything. I'll defer to you guys.
Go ahead,
I'll go real quick, man. About Deshaun Watson's attorney, man. I just think he didn't do him any favors when he came out and said, well, what Deshaun Watson did, man. I mean, technically it really isn't. It's not illegal or nothing like that. And I'm like, I don't think that's something an attorney. I'm not an attorney. Don't have a law degree, but I kind of understand the temperature
you sleep
of
at
the
a Holiday
room.
Inn?
Yeah, right. I know, right? I kind of understand the temperature of the room and things you should say and should not say in the type of climate we're in. And with and after he said that, actually another accuser came out and said, hey, a 24th woman or whatever said, yeah, Deshaun Watson did his thing. So I think I said earlier this podcast, maybe about a month or two ago, he's going to get suspended. I think that suspension is going to be definite now. And it's unfortunate. Cliff, I got to give you a shout out. I know you from Ohio, big Cleveland Brown fan. I don't think that Deshaun Watson is playing this year, my man. He might not suit up until next year, which means he'll have 2 years off. But, and it helps. It doesn't help, but the owner is not well liked. Haslam for Cleveland. The reason why he's not well liked by NFL owners is because he gave out a 5-year, $230 million guaranteed contract to Deshaun Watson, which pretty much upped the quarterback market. So when you got these guys like Joe Burrow and these other guys coming up for contract extensions, they're going to look at Deshaun Watson's contract and be like, yo, pay me that kind of money or even more. So owners are really upset at Cleveland. So I don't think they're going to blink an eye if Deshaun Watson gets suspended for a year. But, I think there was a chance he plays this year. But now after what his attorney just said, I think he's done for the year. But that's my minute.
Post show, we're going to talk. Anyways, look, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. There's just so much going on. I mean, we're breaking records for shootings, we're all these other things. I know I usually talk about that. I'm going to keep it a little lighter this one time. We'll come back with something more interesting then. I would like to know what kind of money they're paying the GM of the Rams, because they have now, in the last couple of days, this is after, getting Stafford, paid Cup the largest deal that a wide receiver has gotten for a non QB offensive player, paid Aaron Donald the most money that any player who's not a quarterback has been playing. He's making like 31 million, almost 11 million next to more than the next guy. The first guy over 30 million on the defensive line. And they got, other guys like Robinson, Allen Robinson, that GM, that front office. You all have figured out a secret decoder ring to how to build a football team. And I would love for you all to call up the Vikings and just give them a glimpse, because I'd love to see my team be able to do anything. They all got the same salary cap, and yet the Rams seem to be doing a hell of a lot more with their money and a hell of a lot more successful. The one thing that they have managed to do is they managed to keep their quarterback under that rare air where I've said you basically can't win. And that's hard to do these days. Speaking of Deshaun Watson and his contract. But anyways, hats off to the Rams. Every single time I see their name in the on ESPN or something there, it's about how they've managed to figure out a way to break the system or game the system and get another player, giving them more money than they could possibly dream of, and be on the same team with other people who are getting all the most money. There's a poor punter over there who's making like $5 because they don't get any more room, but we'll see what happens.
He's the happiest punter in the league too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Brian. They're playing with a different salary cap.
Hey,
I don't know.
And OBJ crashes the coach's wedding, and you're like, well, now I gotta sign him, right?
Yeah,
so you're gonna have OBJ, Cup, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. You guys got that text I sent earlier with Stafford, Donald, Cup, Robinson, Joe Noteboom, Bobby Wagner, and Brian Allen. All 7 of those players combined $386 million of guaranteed contracts. I don't know what they're doing. They're playing with a different salary cap than everybody else, man.
They're playing a different game. Everybody else is playing checkers. These boys are playing chess.
Yeah, and the NFL is a hard cap, everybody. So a hard cap means you can't go over the salary cap. So I don't know what the hell the Rams are doing. Yeah.
That's the picks. They trading them picks off, boy. They ain't got to sign no rookies. But yeah, my only thing is just shout out to Coach John Madden, passed away. He's going to be on the cover of Madden EA Sports Football this year. Hopefully the game's a little bit better because they be same glitches for the last 10 years. But shout out to Coach Madden and his family. Thank everybody for listening. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We will catch you guys next time. Sports Counterpoints podcast. Thanks.